I went by Tulsa, Oklahoma, looked up a little Jewish woman. About 12 years before I made this visit on her, I got acquainted with her. She's a missionary, church visitor, right now in a church in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She's the mother of 2 children, but she hadn't seen them in many years now. She had a husband, but she hadn't seen him in many years now. She had a mother and father, but she hadn't seen them in many years. I remember the night I got my raincoat, my hat cover, and my big old boots, and managed to wade to my car. It had come a downpour in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was preaching in the church. And I struggled through that awful downpour, water running through the streets, get to the church, and I thought maybe I'd be the only one there, but we had a little breath of revival, and the church was packed. And as I went in to the vestibule to disengage myself from my clothes, 2 blessed women were standing there waiting. They had a message for me. And when I got my wet clothes off and started going out toward them, the 2 women said, "Brother Barnard, tonight's the night. Tonight's the night." I said, "She's here, Brother Barnard. She's here." And she was. Through some miracle of God's providence, these precious women had won the friendship of the wife of the leading banker in that city, a young Jew, very wealthy. And they had so been used of God that they'd been bringing that Jewish woman to the meetings night after night after night. And they'd been telling me every day how the battle was going. And that night they said, "This is the night, Brother Barnard." Said today it came to a crisis. Her mother and father told her that if she in Jewish language, they use language like this, her mother and father said, "Daughter, if you embrace the religion of Jesus, you'll no longer be our daughter." Her husband had told her that day, "If you embrace the religion of Jesus, you'll no longer be my wife, and I'll not let you see the children again." And they meant it. They meant it. And in spite of that, that little Jewish woman waded through the rain. She was there. And I preached that night, and we stood and began to sing. I saw the Jewish woman take her glasses off, wipe her eyes. And just as she took her glasses off, and with her handkerchief wiped her eyes, and directly with a great sob, she came running. She wasn't indiscreet. She came running, and she put her arms around me, put her head on her shoulder, and sobbed. And then when the sobs had gone away, she said, "Preacher, I surrender to Jesus." To that Jesus she'd been taught from childhood was the bastard son of a fallen woman. I surrender to Jesus. When we stood to welcome the folks who'd come, I put my hand on her shoulder and called attention to the congregation to her nose, Isaiah, what is it, 3:9. Tell she's a Jewish. I said, this little woman comes tonight to surrender to Jesus Christ. She knows it's going to cost her mother and father. It's going to cost her her children. It's going to cost her her husband. It's going to cost her her home. But she comes to Jesus to to surrender. 2 days later, I drove by, didn't go in. They had a tremendous funeral in that city. They bought an expensive casket out of a hearse to the Jewish synagogue and had the funeral of that woman. They took that empty casket out and buried it in their graveyard. The only time she ever got to see her husband was when they met as he got a divorce from her. And at the time I went to see her, she'd not seen her precious children, her mother and father, or her husband for years. And I went to see her because I needed her. She's the happiest person I've ever known. She's the happiest person I've ever known. Under God, just to be in her presence would lift you up. Never a murmur, just joy. She found him precious. All it cost her was everything. But bless God, he's worth it. He's worth it.